Welcome, conscious business leaders. Life has happened to us today. Technology, Zoom and Facebook they just don't want to jam together. So we're just going to roll in Zoom, and we're going to record this, and I'll post the replay later. So as promised, we're going to have a conscious conversation today. I've invited my friend, Kat Sanford, who's the Abundance Alchemist. And Kat and I got to know each other as Desire Map facilitators. So we're a part of Danielle Laporte's community. We are heart-centered leaders. And Kat and I started working together back in the day when it came to Desire Map, and then it slowly morphed into business. She's been a client of mine. She's a conscious business immersion grad. And today I've invited her to have this conversation about abundance and calling in more abundance, because it is springtime. It is actually time for us to start really thinking about the seeds that we want to plant. This is the energetic new year. So happy energetic new year, everybody. And a perfect time to start setting goals with more soul. And part of that always should include money, our wealth, our prosperity, our finances, our abundance. And that means multiple different things. And that's what we want to chat with you about today. So for those who are on the call with us, you're welcome to use the chat box. You can comment, you can ask questions, and yeah, we'll take it from there. So Kat, what do you want to tell the audience about who you are, who you work with, and what you got going on?
Well, first of all, let me say thank you for including me in this conversation. I am a huge Anne Marie McKenzie fan and follower and student, and so and a friend. It's just a privilege to be here and have this conversation, because before Anne Marie came into my world, I was seeking a different way of doing business and didn't even know what it was. I was just kind of seeking, and the universe put her into my path, and it's just been really awesome to do the work with her and to have her support. So thank you. So sending you some love there. So what I do, and it's been a journey. So I stepped into the coaching space about 2 years ago, after being an event planner, and so one of the things that happened for me is that I realized that I had some money habits and money mindset and some things to clean up for myself. So I went on a journey and started exploring and getting educated, and which led me to a certification as a money coach. So I'm really excited. My business is twofold. One, I help women entrepreneurs with their money, in relations to cleaning up their money mindset and their personal finances, and then the other part is the making money in their business. Because what I realized is that I can teach you how to make the money in your business all day long, because I am creative when it comes to marketing and to programs and things like that. But if you are making all this money and it's just going right out the door, what good is that? That's not really about building abundance or wealth. So that's what I do. And I do it in a variety of ways. I have some courses and group programs, and also offer some VIP one-on-one coaching. So coming soon will be memberships and retreats and some other fun stuff. So, but that's what we are up to in that space. So yeah.
And you weren't always the abundance alchemist. Like when I first met you, that wasn't even on your radar. So can you share with everybody a little bit about your journey and how the abundance alchemist came to be?
Yeah, absolutely. So I stepped into coaching because I knew I wanted to teach and serve. And as an entrepreneur for 15 plus years at that point, I, um, I had things to share. And the thing was, and I had run a business, but the thing, when I got into coaching, the certification was wonderful. There was lots of great content, lots of great marketing. What was missing for me is like, how do I take all of this magic and turn it into a business? And there's a lot of there's a lot of noise out there when it comes to how we can build our businesses, especially as coaches. And so, And I knew I didn't want to make the same financial decisions or excuse me, mistakes I had made in my event planning business. I had a lot of what I call money leaks. Um, and so I just came to a fork in the road and I was like, okay, I'm a smart girl. I can get this figured out. And so I just really started looking to mentors and coaches for myself. And that was the starting point. It was just like, doing the work for myself of getting my personal money story straight, and then also to really redefining how I wanted my business to look and feel. And so when I started the journey, I realized that there were other entrepreneurs out there like me who had made money mistakes in the past, but they were super smart, had a lot of gifts and talents to share with the world. And so yeah, so part of the journey was getting certified in a couple of areas on the business side of how to help entrepreneurs in their business. And then right now, I am wrapping up a certification to be actually a financial coach, not a financial planner, but a financial coach, really dealing in the emotions and behaviors of money, and then getting into the strategy too. So yeah, never. I was the girl that I'm a free spirit when it comes to money. Like I'm the spender. I'm the free spirit. I'm not a money nerd. I would rather somebody else take care of it for me. And those were my habits, but it was not serving me. Wasn't serving me in my personal life. Wasn't serving me in my marriage. It wasn't serving me in my business because it was all bleeding over. And so it just really started with making a decision to figure it out. And now, I mean, I call myself the Abundance Alchemist because I help my clients get creative. And everybody, it's not a cookie cutter recipe when it comes to building abundance in your business. And now I am a self-proclaimed money nerd. So
It was really cool to see you in your journey because you had an idea, like your intuition was leading you towards business, coaching, money. But when you came into conscious business immersion, there was a hesitation. And I think there was a hesitation, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you actually had a lot of ideas and they were all really great ideas. Like you have just such a wide array of skills and strengths, especially coming from like event planning background, right? That there could have been multiple different directions that you went in and actually being successful. But what was really cool for us and for myself as well, working with you, is when we unlocked your energetic code, right? And your sun card was the 8 of diamonds. I'm like, Kat, everything about you is pointing in the direction of like, this girl got it going on when it comes to abundance. And you're like, but I don't all the time. And I'm like, I know, but that's your work to do in the world. And that's also what you're meant to bring to other people. So is there something that you want to say about that? Like, what was that like for you, like uncovering that and realizing that?
yeah, so it was really giving me the peace and permission to just go for it. Because what showed up for me when I first decided to become a coach, um, I thought I wanted to go into more of the soft skills of life coaching, which there is definitely coach that in my business anyway. I bring that in. And then I got smacked right in the face with my own imposter syndrome
Mm.
because I had made poor money choices in the past.
Mhm.
It would have been easy to keep continuing, carrying money shame into the present and into the future. And so I had some of that going on too, as I'm, getting educated myself and looking to build a business. And so just uncovering that and realizing that, that I can figure it out, and just like really stepping fully into what I meant to do. And, yeah. And so it's helped too with the shiny object syndrome because we all experience that. This just came through. It's helped with that because even in my world of the money conversation, there's hundreds of different directions I could go with my business. So, um, doing the work and discovering what is my energetic blueprint, and everything about that is just really grounded me in, okay, just stay the course.
Mhm.
And so when it, um, because being an entrepreneur is not always easy sometimes, and we also have a tendency, I think, to complicate it. So there was that, and then also too, I had sitting on top of that, on top of the imposter syndrome, was the old messages of the way that we should do business.
Mhm.
I came from corporate America originally. Then I was an entrepreneur, but I was still defining my success based on the masculine model, if you want to
Yep.
go there, masculine versus feminine, or what society tells us, we should be doing, or what we see out there in the digital, spaces of this is what a coaching mentor is doing. They're doing all the things, or it looks like they're doing all the things to be successful. So
Mhm.
let me pause there because I could go down that
Yeah.
rabbit hole. So.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought all of this up because it really does highlight how we are stepping into business in a new paradigm. We are doing business very differently. And like in conscious business immersion, one of the things that I emphasize, which I know you'll agree with, that it's, the old way of doing things. It's like, well, reach out to your audience and find out what they want from you. And we don't do that in conscious business immersion. We come from, what do you want in your heart and in your desires? Like, what makes sense for you? What's going to light you up? What's going to bring you joy and freedom and abundance? And we get really clear on who it is that we are and who we are meant to serve. And so, your path, for example, so just to speak to that Eight of Diamonds for a moment, the Eight of Diamonds is Kat's sun card. So, that is literally the work that her soul made a contract and chose to do in this lifetime. So, what is Eight of Diamonds? Becoming the creative master of abundance and values. And so you could see it and hear it in Kat's story, right? So for her, whoever's watching this, like, comment, you could see it how, and she spoke to it, and so did I. Like, there's a lot of different pathways that she could have taken for her business. She really started to own and anchor into this idea that she's the creative master of abundance. Has she screwed up before? Yes. Has she made mistakes? Yes. Have there been times in her life where she has failed at money? Yes. But it doesn't mean that she's not a creative master of abundance and values. And just that understanding of it, like, oh, right, this is who I am, and this is who I'm meant to be. Like, this is part of my purpose. What would it look like if I just stood in that power? What if I showed up as my own inner authority figure with that? And what would that look like if I started sharing that with the community? And one of the things that I love about Kat and how she approaches her business is she's authentic about it. We used to laugh. So Kat and I, when we'd work one-to-one, I was going through numerology certification, and the community was like, Anne-Marie, you could be a relationships coach. And I'm like, no, no, no. And as I'm unlocking my own code and who my soulmate clients are, they are this person that honestly wants it all. They want to be successful in business, but also have cosmic love and have deep, meaningful relationships. So Kat and I would connect, and I'd be like, Kat, how are you today? Like, what's going on? And she'd be like, oh, my husband and I. And then she'd be like, this isn't what I want to talk about today. And I was like, no, no, let's unpack it. And we'd have these epic conversations, right? About money and your relationship and your partner. And that really was like this gateway to you understanding like who it is that you are and the work that you're meant to do, and also like how you can support other people in doing the same. And I've benefited from it. Like, I have really paid attention to the messages that you've shared, and specifically about money management in my relationship, and how that impacts me and my business. Like, if I'm not being honest with my finances in my business, am I being honest with my finances and with my partner in my relationship? And how do those like mirror each other? And how can I heal one and figure one out that's going to benefit and impact the other one? That has totally come from you. I don't even know if you know that, but anyways, so I'm giving you some kudos that it's really inspired me to do that on both levels. And then I've watched my relationship level up, and I've also watched my business level up as well. Yeah.
Awesome.
What
Thank
else
you for
would you
sharing that.
say? You're very welcome. What else were some of the foundational pieces that you feel you experienced in conscious business immersion that's helped you call in some more abundance into your business?
I would say one of the things, just a sneak peek at the teachings, if anybody watching is yet to experience conscious business immersion, is that there's definitely a focus on heart intelligence and the question of aligned values, and which I think you call heart compass. Um, and so reflecting on that is, well, doing that work is also lets me go back to that question and ask myself, when I go to make a business decision, is this aligned with my values? And I'll give you an example in just a second, but I think the reason I want to just highlight why it's so important, and it's what I said, as an entrepreneur, and a lot of times, we become entrepreneurs for different reasons. We want to serve other people. We want the freedom, to be our own boss. Um, but also so a lot of times we become entrepreneurs and we really have no business plan, and we don't always have a mentor or coach or whatever. So we're trying to figure it out on our own. We're paying attention to what other people are doing. We might take a class, or we might get a coach. And so there's a lot of messages out there, and I touched on that earlier about like thinking we have to do all the things that everybody else is doing. Okay, so there's that. And so that's what was going on for me. And so what the experience of CBI allowed me to do, and really thinking more about heart, dropping into my heart and thinking about my heart values versus figuring out that, being worried about the how to,
Yeah.
um, is it's allowed me to use that as a guiding, the question, is this aligned with my values when I make decisions like saying yes or no to a business expense?
Mhm.
So whether it's a course, a marketing tool, what have you, is this aligned? Where I spend my time, both in my life and my business, because I think as entrepreneurs, they just like they're so intertwined. How who we are in one space is how we are in the other space, and even how I market my business and what I create. And I'll say it's not all perfect because I still fall into like the shiny object syndrome of seeing somebody like, oh, I could try that. Um, but it's real. So I just come back to it. For example, yesterday I was opened my Trello board. I had 4 ideas I had seen other people do recently and experienced them myself. I'm like, God, that feels really good, because I'm about to launch this new thing in my business. And so I just put down the ideas. I did a brain dump, but then I could see right away out of the 4 ideas, one thing doesn't feel as aligned right now. And it might be because it's going to take more work and I need to build my community. But the other three were like, or, felt a little bit more aligned. And there's one of them, it's like, start with the first thing. I don't have to do all three right now. What's the first one? And yeah, and so I used this, it was all perfect timing because I knew we were going to have this conversation. I wanted to share this, but then I was doing that work also, and I was able to go back and um, ask myself that question, and it's very freeing because I'm not stressed about it. I'm
Yeah.
like, this feels good, this feels doable. I've already done a lot of the work, so you teach us to, respect and celebrate the work and celebrate what we have done. And yeah, so it's like, it's the next thing.
Mhm.
Versus if I didn't have the experience, it could be that all four of those things just sat there and went nowhere.
Mhm.
Or it could be that I tried to do them all at the same time, thinking I had to do all the things,
Yeah.
and created stress and overwhelm for
For no.
myself and in my business.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I love hearing, obviously, that you know the intelligence of your heart, you know your heart compass, you know your values, you've got a huge list, and you come back into that space and you look at the list and you're able to prioritize based on how you want to feel and the values you want to embody. And one of the reasons that I really wanted to talk with Kat today in the community is because abundance is obviously a part of her heart compass and her values. And that's one thing that we look at all the light that just came through.
I
And I
saw that.
guys see that?
Yeah.
This isn't a coincidence. This happens very, thank you, Father Sky, Father Son. Um, it's part of this shift. It is part of the new paradigm in business. It is part of the spiritual awakening for us to realize and own that we are allowed to be abundant. We are allowed to access spiritual wealth. We are allowed to make money based on our gifts, and we deserve and are allowed to be charged or to own and accept large sums of money for it. Now, I'm not saying that all of us need to go out and say a $25,000 mastermind. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is this shift that, in the corporate world, we have somebody running a soft drink company that literally causes diabetes and a lot of health issues versus a nonprofit executive director that barely touches six figures versus the soft drink person that probably is pushing seven, close to seven. That's not going to fly anymore. The shift that's happening in this spiritual awakening is that the more we have, the more we can give. The more we have, the more we can give. So when Kat's looking at, and I'll have you speak to this as well, Kat, when she's looking at her list of priorities, and one of the things that I always do with my clients, whether it's in conscious business immersion or in a numerology reading or a one-to-one soulful strategy session, is we're looking at that list of priorities and we're choosing the things that are going to generate abundance. Because if we're not stepping into being of service with others, things are going to stay pretty murky and unclear. Would you agree with that, Kat? Right? It's not until you start to work with clients that you're like, oh, I actually really wish that clients would show up on time. And then we add that to our list of attracting soulmate clients. They show up on time. Or if you're a mama with 3 or 4 kids, I wish my soulmate clients wouldn't care if I'm 2 or 3 minutes late because sometimes life happens, right? But the steps that we're taking are things that are going to help us step into service with others and also move us towards abundance, whether it's collecting an email, right? That's abundance, creating community that way, or starting to generate income. So if it's somebody that's like a heart-centered leader or a numerologist, my first question is always, do you have a booking link? Oh, no. Okay, let's get a booking link and let's set it up so people have to pay you. Oh, no, it's okay if they can just, no. They don't get to book unless they pay money. Hairdressers had it all wrong. Massage therapists had it all wrong, in my opinion. Their business model doesn't work. So, and I'm in a debate with a massage therapy company right now because of that. But it's okay to ask for people to pay upfront for your services and then to have canceling fees and to have rescheduling fees, or to say there are no refunds. It takes me time and energy and effort to prepare for this session. In my numerology reading, sometimes it takes me hours to prepare for one of those sessions. People don't get to cancel and me give them their money back. I've already done a lot of the work, but you're welcome to reschedule. You're welcome to book it another date, because abundance, right? So setting up those little systems in our business that do allow us to call in abundance. Do you agree with that, Kat?
I do. I love that you use the example of like not having or like letting people on your calendar. Um, and there's a difference if you are doing discovery calls in your
Yeah.
business and that's one of your models. Discovery call is just an info call of like how people can work with you. Um, but if it's a coaching or consulting call, it's actually a money leak if
Mhm.
you don't have them pay in advance. If you're chasing money and chasing invoices, that is a money leak example, and it is directly attached to your money mindset. So And it also, too, the good news is that is one of the ways that you can continue to call in abundance is to have that as a process and then automate your processes too. So, yeah,
Love.
I do totally agree with that.
Okay, what would you, again, so we're in a 7 energy year. So this is all about spiritual awakening. And now we're in the energetic new year. So it's this one energy. We have the spring equinox. We're shifting into spring, right? So a time again to plant seeds, to set new intentions, to create goals with more soul. Kat, what would you say are your top 3 suggestions, ideas, tips to call in more abundance in our businesses?
So first of all, I think it's important that everybody defines what abundance means for them. And so for me, just really quickly, it means two things. It means wealth
Mm-hmm.
or being, having a profit. So everybody defines the word wealth even differently, but it's a financial abundance and it's also a time abundance.
Mm-hmm.
So because I believe and I experienced in several prior careers is that great income, but lousy hours. Great income and long hours, 12-hour days consistently to make things happen. And that's not abundance to me. And so I teach my clients about how you can reach your financial goals um, with whatever you taught me the word capacity. So it's like you decide your capacity of like when you want to work and how many hours you want to work, with the understanding that sometimes you work more because you have a big goal or you're launching something or you're marketing a course or a workshop or whatever. And I am going to use the word balance. I mean, balance doesn't always exist, but it's like looking at that capacity. And so one, I would define it for yourself. And then to be practical about it is when you're defining it, think about the capacity, think about the number of hours you want to work in a year and back that into monthly and weekly. And then also too, when you set that financial goal, you know, um, ask yourself why, why is this the financial goal? Another thing is when I think about abundance, I think about an abundance of clients. And I
Mm,
also think about being like having an abundance mindset when you think about the opportunities. And
mm,
opportunities can be marketing opportunities, and that can look like a whole bunch of things. It could look like speaking opportunities, networking opportunities, opportunities like this to come into someone else's community and speak. So really, challenging yourself to be creative and think outside the box of this is all about building community, when you put a bigger kind of brushstroke on it. And then, yeah, what is the opportunity for abundance? And if you're let's say you're a coach, or hairdresser or whatever listening in today, I want to encourage you. Sometimes our financial abundance comes to us in other ways that maybe we weren't expecting. For example, I do some real estate with my husband, and my husband was the initiator of that and the driving force of that. And I can tell you from working on myself and my money mindset, I am now more of a partner with him than I was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I would have been like, okay, he'll just handle it, whatever, and no
mhm,
questions asked. And now I'm all in the business, and he's like, who is this person? I mean, he's glad. It's better than him feeling like he has to take it all on himself. So let me just throw that out there.
mm,
And the reason this is important, it's like I feel like I mean, your business should support your lifestyle,
yeah.
you know? And so abundance is all about giving you the time and the space for what you want and what you need. Like
Mhm,
for me, I'm really focused on my health right now, my health and wellness. And so I want and need a business where I don't have to work 40 hours to be my definition of success.
mhm,
So
mhm. I love that. Those are amazing tips. So, just to recap, define abundance for you. What does abundance mean and look like to you? And also, what is the energetic capacity around abundance? So, one thing I want to say about that is and I don't know who said this to me or where I saw it, but it's so true. It's like, oh, you want $10,000 months? Can you manage $1,000? If you can't manage $1,000, you're not going to manage $10,000. So what is that energetic capacity in terms of abundance? So that's from a money lens, but it's also from like, how many clients can you actually handle connecting with? How many times can you actually show up and do lives and not feel like exhausted and completed? So there's those pieces to it as well, right? And I liked how Kat is speaking to, what is, she spoke on it in a roundabout way, but what's the pathway to abundance? And what we tend to do, and I say we because I know I call in people with lots of ones in their birthday. Kat knows this, where I'm like, I call in people who are creatives. I call in people who have multiple modalities. They're multifaceted, multi-passionate. So they got a lot of things going on. And again, there's a lot of different directions that they could go in and actually be successful. But the question is it going to feel good? Right. And we've all done this. That's why we experience stress, burnout, why we're recovering A types now, because we don't want to go down that path. We want the abundance, but to be truthful, we want to do less for more. Right. And there's nothing wrong with that. And again, that's a mindset and an energetic shift that we have to work on. But abundance, what does abundance look like? I love how Kat was pointing out, like, abundance isn't just money, that it's things like clients and community, because connection is what equals abundance. Secondly, it's creativity. So we're starting this like manifestation cycle this month of, this is the month for connection. And when I say connection, it's connection with divine. It's connection with our higher self. It's connection with our spiritual support team. It's connection with our inner child. We had a really great conversation about this this month in the Conscious Business Collective about like, what did we love to do as children? Remember? That was so good, right? And like, oh my gosh, that's right. Like I used to like climb trees, and that's why I like doing outdoor retreats with women now. And it's like connecting to, there's different definitions of inner child, but connecting to that little boy or that little girl within you and what we love to do. And I look back and I'm like, I lined up my Cabbage Patch of dolls, and I lined up my stuffies, and I pulled in my chalkboard, and I taught them things. Oh, surprise, surprise. And then I would show up in my grandma's sewing room. She had so many buttons, and I would line up the buttons, and I would have my cash register outside of her sewing room. And when everyone would come in for lunch, because we had a big farm and my grandma would feed everybody, they had to come to my shop, and they had to come and buy buttons from me. So I literally wanted to be an entrepreneur that taught people things, literally. So when I talked about like leaving my job back in, 2016, 2017, and I was like starting off on this journey of like becoming a desire map facilitator and hosting circles and, working with businesses and shifting to like, heart-centered leadership and values-driven stuff. I was afraid. I was afraid that what I was going to do, honestly, wasn't going to equate to abundance, because like Kat said, we used to work so hard, right? Those 10-12 hour days is what equaled the abundance. And I was like, I don't really want to do this again. And my therapist is like, asked, what did you want to do? What did you like to play as a little girl? And I shared that story, and she's like, I'm pretty sure your soul's on the right track, Emery. I'm like, oh, sweet. And it has called in abundance. I did my books on time this year. I'm working with a fantastic bookkeeper and an accountant. What's really interesting, Kat, you'll find this funny, where because I've talked to you about this, I know my money archetype because of Kat. I'm not fully embodied into it yet or remember it, but it was very profound and it was very bang on. So I was like, right, I'm going to get support. The bookkeeper, we're going to look at reports on a monthly basis. We're going to, look at all of the finances, what's coming in, what's going out. And we're going to create a system where I know this month, this is how much is going out. This is how much I have planned to come in. And this is also what I want to call in, right? So just creating a relationship with my abundance. But I also wanted somebody who was kind of like a hard ass with me. I didn't really say it, but I didn't have parents or an education where they taught us how to like manage money. So I wanted to be somebody that was like matter of fact. So I meet with my bookkeeper's sister, who's the accountant, and she was harsh, like with some of her comments. And I was like, who does she think that she is? Like, I remember like ending the call and I was like, my accountant, to my partner. And he's like, isn't that what you wanted? Like somebody who's like just gonna say it straight up and stick it to you and kind of like, this is what you need to be better at. I'm like, yeah, maybe, and then I was like, oh, this is actually what I need. Somebody who brings me to the practical, like, here's the hard facts. here's the logistics of your business that you got to get that going on in order for you to call in more. And I was like, oh, this feels right. And this is something that I resisted for so long, but the greater the resistance, the greater the reward. So I was like, oh, okay, this is what it looks like for abundance. So anyway, she's fantastic, harsh. Yeah, so those are the other thing I want to say that myself and a lot of people that I work with are stepping into is just really slowing down to speed up. And Kat and I, like, we've talked about this a lot too, where it's like abundance doesn't necessarily mean doing all the things. And you've already talked about this, right? Like, it doesn't mean that we have to create 12 different offerings. Abundance actually means, like, what's that one thing or the two things that are really going to create that connection and really going to foster community and really going to start to build trust? And then what's that next thing to create a second connection and a third connection? And just starting from that place of like, abundance means getting an email. And then abundance means doing a live, having just one participant in this two-way conversation and people watching the replay, right? Abundance looks like potentially somebody seeing this and booking a numerology reading, right? Or somebody clicking on Kat's link and figuring out their money archetype, right? That there's these little steps of abundance. And we try to, because it's so toxic in the coaching world, they're like, take a quantum leap. And it's like, quantum leaps happen because of the little teeny tiny steps that we have done along the way to build up those systems to create a strong foundation for the abundance to come in. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. Yeah, being willing to take the baby steps. So it's easy to throw things out there and put things on the calendar before you're ready
Mm-hmm.
because you're motivated by cash flow. And there's nothing wrong with that. Cash flow is good. However, it can lead to stress and overwhelm because you haven't really done the work behind it. And I'm speaking for myself, personal experience, especially if you're creative, because you do want to birth all the things and like, if not right now, yesterday. So there's being aware of that, and then also on the flip side of that is being willing to put things out in the world. So just being willing to take a baby step and do something to call in abundance, whether and I'm talking about paid. So whether it's a mini class or a master class, or the only difference in those to me is the length of time, or a 4-week course or a program, a group program. I mean, whatever, a workshop. I mean, there's lots of different things out there. So so yeah, it's like this ebb and flow. So it's and being willing to do things without them being perfect. I mean, I have plenty of things that are sitting in my computer that
Mm-hmm.
are still sitting there because of a little bit of perfectionism, and I have this, that's another thing that experience a takeaway from working with you and being in a conscious business immersion is just like, just be willing to step out and to do the next thing. And I just have to remind myself too, one thing that I know is that, knowing my client code, and then also knowing that a part of me is that things are meant to come through me. So I
Mm-hmm.
have to remember that too, because I have a lot of content because of the certifications that I have received. So I have everything I need to probably coach you for 10 years, you know? So it's like,
I have a new program coming. It's 10 years. Your commitment. This is
yeah,
everything
yeah,
that I know. Yeah, I love that.
yeah. God, there was something else that was really genius that I wanted to say, but it threw me. Oh, I think that one thing is, yeah, and just back to the abundance mindset. This wasn't the thing I was going to say, but it's okay. Is just to to repeat to yourself and say to yourself, and whatever that looks like in a ritual journal, whatever, that you are worthy of wealth,
Mm.
you know. And so that I wrote that down as we were talking, and so that showed up. So I wanted to just say that, though that's a totally different kind of little side path, but just that's a piece of abundance too.
Yeah.
The and it's not about the, I don't know. I guess I'm just really big on coaches, especially. And this was part of my journey too, is that I was seeing the mindset of coaches of thinking that they, you know, coaching, and this also goes for people that are, you know, counselors, therapists, in any kind of ministry, nonprofits, that kind of thing. That work does not have to equal being poor,
Mm-hmm. No.
you know?
Yeah.
So you
I think
get to
honestly,
yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead.
That's no, I think that's another conversation. I think we could have a whole chat on
Well,
that.
it is a really prevalent thing to bring up in today's climate, because we're being bombarded. Well, I'm not, because I don't watch the news or look at the news, but we are being bombarded with like we're in a recession and everything's increasing and interest rates are increasing and the cost of food. Like I call my nanny every Sunday and we complain about the cost of a cucumber at the grocery store, like every single Sunday. It's our jam. And it stops me from doing it any other time, right? I give myself this like 20, 30 minutes for grandma and I to be like, rawr, two chicken breasts for $18. And then we talk about our meal plan for the week. We're like, okay, things are expensive. What are we planning in order to, like, maximize our investment? But, along those lines, yes, those things may be true, but it's designed on purpose to make us think that there isn't abundance. Like when we look at how much our government, so Kat is in the US, I'm in Canada. When we look at how much money our governments have spent in the last couple of years on like one healthcare thing, that money is in circulation. When you look at how much money the royal family spent on the Queen's funeral and passing, all that money is now in circulation. We're talking trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. And I remember emphasizing this to another client I have that's the Three of Diamonds. So the Three of Diamonds is creative pathways to wealth. So it's somebody who's like not meant to have like one stream of income. They're actually meant to have multiple streams. So we were talking about abundance. And then this conversation around money came up, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "You're in the UK." I'm like, "Look how much money the royal family just spent, and the whole, like, your whole country spent on the Queen's passing. Where's that money going? It's going into circulation. It's there. It exists. There is enough. There is more than enough. We are just being taught to believe that there isn't. And it does really relate to the divine prosperity cycle. It's how do we, and this is where we get caught up. And maybe we should end with this because you and I can talk for hours. But how do we invest in ourselves? And how do we invest in our business? So I believe this is the first aspect of the divine prosperity cycle. We invest in ourselves and we invest in our business. As entrepreneurs, we don't have a difficult time doing that, right? Chances are you don't need any more certifications, but there could be some educational pieces in terms of how to consciously plan your business or create systems or create structures in order to take what you got going on and bring it out to the world and call in abundance. That's typically where people struggle. But then it's like, how do you allow your clients, the people, to invest back in you? And then how do you allow your business to invest back in you as well? So there's all of these cycles of prosperity that we can get in our own ways, right? And block Like it happened the other day, a friend sent, I'm getting these messages over and over and over again. Like not only are they number messages, but every time I open up TikTok, it's some kind of tarot reader and she's saying this and it's the same message. And I said, what's the message to you? And she was like, to get out of my own fucking way. I said, so like, what's stopping you? And she goes, me, Anne Marie, it's me. It's always me getting in my own way. I'm like, yes. I'm like, so again, let's look at the prosperity cycle and like, are you investing in yourself? No. Well, then how do you expect anybody to invest back in you? Are you investing in your business? No. Well, then why would your business invest back in you? Like, that's not a relationship, right? Oh, okay. You're going to start letting your clients invest in you. You're going to start letting your business invest in you. And then let's see that cycle of prosperity and abundance flow. Yeah. Okay. Kat, what do you have for everybody? I know that there's some kind of freebie, some kind of video we can watch. Like, let us learn from you. What do you have to share with our community?
I would say the easiest, just for ease of connecting with me, is if you're interested in getting free inspirational tips and ideas about money, is you can come join me in my private Facebook group, which is called Money Matters with Kat. You can also follow me on Instagram, and I'm at the Kat Sanford. And then from there, there's opportunities to, I have a really fun thing that is 6 days to decluttering your money,
Mm,
which is just some fun, easy, quick action steps you can take. And I've got a lot of other resources, and you can get on my list, my booking calendars there in both of those places. So that's probably the simplest. And coming up next, though, is I will be doing a series of mini classes, um, and some master classes. And
love it.
yeah.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you. So, for those of you who might be interested in conscious business immersion, Kat is around as well. She is a grad of conscious business immersion. So, I know when investing in ourselves, sometimes it's obviously I'm going to speak highly of it because I created it. I'm very biased, but I also speak very highly of it because everybody that has gone through this process and does the work gets the results that I promise. I don't promise results, but I promise if you do the work and you go through what I present to you, then you will get those results. And conscious business immersion is an example of me calling it abundance because it's a hybrid program. So I do this, and I really encourage any of you listening that when you're creating something, think about the things that you don't want to say on repeat that are going to take away some of your energetic capacity and some of that bandwidth, and record them. So I have live sessions on Tuesdays, but I also have recordings for people because that creates abundance in my life. I've been talking about heart intelligence for 10 years now. It's not that I don't want to talk about it anymore, but there's key aspects of it that that are recorded. So Kat will discuss with you if you have any questions. If you want to hear about her experience, she'd be happy to talk with you about it. The Conscious Business Immersion also has an affiliate link. So, in full transparency and along the lines of abundance, I created an affiliate program for people who have joined Conscious Business Immersion because I would rather give Kat money than Mark Zuckerberg. It makes complete sense.
Yes,
I
please.
love her. I want to see her succeed. It's just like, we go to our favorite restaurant and you're like, oh, you have to try these tacos with this fancy dancy margarita. We don't benefit from that. But as women, that's what we do, right? Like we share our positive experiences. And so I want to express collaborative wealth and I give that money back to my community. So if you do hang out with Kat, and you're interested about conscious business immersion, and because of that conversation, you sign up, I want you to know that I send Kat a large sum of money. A large sum of money. Chances are, if you sign up through Kat, she's got something for free for you as well to show her appreciation and gratitude for using that link. So this is how my business works, is based on referrals, based on this like affiliate program. And I love talking about conscious business immersion, and so do the grads. So don't hesitate to reach out. The next cohort is happening in April. So now's the time to sign up. I have an application process. The application isn't to say you're not in or you are in. The application is an opportunity for me to get to know you, where you're at in your business, and just make sure that it's a right fit. I don't want somebody investing in this if they're not ready for it, if now's not the right time. And I have many other resources and services and products and people that I can point in a different direction if conscious business immersion isn't right here, right now. The investment is $3,333. There's payment plans. You can pay for 3 months. You can pay for 6 months if you need to. And if that's just too much for you right now, I want to recognize that you can do self-study for $1,111. So you don't get any of the group coaching. You don't get any of the one-to-one sessions, and it doesn't include the numerology piece, but you can do the self-study and still create a conscious business plan that is rooted in the intelligence of your heart and the magic of numerology. You could also do the Spirit of Your Business VIP Activation Day, and that's just the numerology pieces. That, when I was talking to Kat about her being an 8 of diamonds, that's a part of it. So you'll understand your full energetic code, your personal energy forecast. So we can literally look and say, you know what, this is the year for you to write the book. This makes sense. And this would be a great launch date for your next program. And these are your ideal clients. It's in your energetic code. This is who you are meant to serve. And here's some content that you can create that will speak directly to your audience to call them in. So a lot of things going on for the month of March. I think I have one spot available for that Spirit of Your Business VIP Activation Day. But again, applications need to be in March in order for you to attend that April cohort. So Kat, thank you so much for being with me today and for being a part of this community and for this conscious conversation and sharing everything that you know about abundance. And I just want to reiterate one more time, Kat's your gal when it comes to money matters. Join her group. Make sure you follow her on Instagram, and whatever freebie she's got going on, I recommend, and I highly recommend doing her money archetype quiz as well and working with her. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. It was my pleasure to be here. I'm
Very
here to help the community, so reach out to me, connect.
beautiful. If you guys are catching the replay, make sure you let us know in the comments that this is the replay, and also share with us, was there something in particular that really landed for you today, something that resonated? And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat as well. Okay. Big love. Thanks.